Welcome back in, everyone, to the Daily Sports Sport Podcast, or should I say, award-winning Daily Sports Sport Podcast. Am I right? Justin Nah, yes, it is
Ian
me.
Pfaffenberger, you're absolutely right.
Yes, I am absolutely right. Host Ian Pfaffenberger back today. I have Justin Nah, managing editor, with me. Yes, you heard that correctly. We are an award-winning podcast now, officially. We had me, Justin, and Haley had the chance to go to the Texas Intercollegiate Press Association convention here in Denton over this last weekend, where we got third place in Division I in the annual podcast competition for episode 11, the American Conference Championship preview. So I am extremely blessed.
Bless up, guys. You're watching. You guys are blessed too.
You did this for us, guys. Anyone who's been along for this journey, that first semester football journey,
my
what
gosh,
a
man.
ride that was. We were just cranking out episodes week by week because I had no other really responsibility other than to do this
But
and,
now look
and
at you,
write
pal.
previews.
Look at
Now
us
look
now.
at me. Look at us now.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Yes. We have a certificate, and once I get it, it will be framed right there at the back of every episode. That's going to be the first little bit of decoration for this podcast. But hey,
man.
it has been quite a while since we've come out with another episode, and everything is just going absolutely crazy in UNT sports right now. Softball is in full swing. Basketball just wrapped up. We still have to talk about that. Football is back, and so me and Justin's lives have been quite hectic. And
Spring football.
Spring football. The next 3 days are going to be quite busy. So we are doing this completely live, no script, unfiltered. The Daily Sports Sport Podcast, unfiltered, is what's coming at you right now.
I have no devices in front of me. I have no paper in front of me. I'm just.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm gonna
Oh
go
my
ahead
gosh.
and close that.
Wow,
This
embracing
is
the
a
spirit of it
tabletop
all.
TED Talk discussion right now. I'm loving this. Hey, you know what? Let's just do it off rip. We're gonna save
We're
the
gonna
good
start,
stuff.
man.
We're gonna save the good stuff for later. We're gonna start with basketball. That ended quite a while ago from
Oh,
when we're
man.
recording, but you know what? It's been about a month since I think an episode came out. We had an episode planned and ready for y'all, but unfortunately we had some issues and that could not come out. But we're back. This one will get out. We have not discussed basketball. We're going to discuss basketball. Both teams, unfortunately, fell in the conference championship. Both quarterfinals, I believe it was.
I think women's for sure. I'm not sure about the men.
Men's was quarterfinals.
Were they quarterfinals
Yeah,
as well? Okay.
because then Wichita State beat Tulsa the next round, the semifinals. I
Yeah.
knew that. But yes, both teams unfortunately fell. Oddly enough, I think, you know what, just to start off, what a whirlwind, what a weird season it was, I
For
feel,
both
for
teams.
both of these teams.
I'll start with this. A person was asking me about the men's basketball team, and just because of the previous historic success that Ross Hodge and Graham McCaslin kind of had and experienced here in Denton. A fan asked me the other day. They're like, or a coworker of ours, a fan of Mean Green basketball. They asked me, "When's that NIT again?" And I was like, "Dude, I hate to break it to you, pal. We're not invited.
That's tough. And I feel, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not going to lie.
Not being able to go to NIT."
Yeah, not
You
even
know,
an invitation.
It was it kind of became the benchmark of success for North Texas ever since the championship win. Is that, like, at the very least you win, let's say 20 odd games, and you can make it. And we're specifically exclusively talking about the men's right now, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, you would win 20 odd games, and you would be competitive in the conference tournament. And then in worst case scenario, even if you were knocked out early, you could at least make the national invitation tournament. Our invitation did not get lost in the mail. They just decided not to invite North Texas men's basketball because, I mean, frankly, if you look at the schedule, it's just not. I don't think it proves much. Besides that one win against Tulsa.
Yeah. I mean, American competition this year
yeah.
wasn't strong in general. I saw a ton of people picking South Florida upset. I'm like, guys, I don't really know.
I picked it too.
How was your
I fell
March
for it.
Madness bracket, Justin?
I think it's like 4%.
Wow.
I think it went at one point, the opening round, I think I got like, let's say 80 odd percent. And then like the next round, I think I got really messed up somewhere along Texas Gonzaga. I got really messed up along like picking one of those
that
two.
messed me up. I had Gonzaga in the Elite Eight, so
Oh my gosh.
that messed me up. But
Yeah.
regardless, South Florida, only representative of the American, got knocked out round one. Kind of a testament to how I feel like everything went for the American this year, especially on the men's side. But just kind of going back to both teams, the fact they had very different seasons.
Absolutely.
I thought the women's were very well prepared. Obviously, Burton is very well coached. You had star power all over the place. Men's, on the other hand, not really any depth. Huge ups and downs. They finished the season off really strong, and they had the 6th seed because of that. Both of these teams ended up with the same record, which is just fascinating to me because I feel like the women's had just overall a much better year than the men's. And I don't know if that's a testament to, I mean, obviously you have undefeated rights in the American. That's a testament to the power of the women's basketball teams in the American Conference and the not power of the men's. But I thought that was just fascinating.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Beginning there, I think the women's wins and losses meant a little different things than the men's because of, like you said, the competition in the American. Like
Yeah.
we saw Rice go undefeated in the regular season and then obviously dominate their way through the conference tournament and then lose to UTSA in a pretty big fashion. So
Yeah.
the parity in the league, and again, a UTSA team that we dog walked
Yes.
at
And
home.
bro, Rice scored 40 points.
I know,
in that
and
game.
so you can clearly tell that it's just a little different for the American women's side of things. Compared to the American men's side of things, where like the UNT win against Memphis kind of aged like milk because like by the time the season kind of concluded, Memphis was like the 9th seed, the 8th seed,
Yeah.
10th seed. So those kind of wins kind of degraded dramatically by the time conference play came around. At one point, FAU was really hot, and then are we at a win against FAU? And then by the time the season ended, it was like, I mean, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think that's kind of why we come away with the women's being a little more impressed. Also, because I think it shows Coach Burden has been so successful in his time, and then. But I think this was the first year where he had to kind of do the classic UNT full rebuild. Like your entire roster kind of leaves, and you just have to rebuild the whole thing and try to win in 1 year. And Hodge kind of did it in 2 years that he had it, and then Eric Morris did it pretty much every year. Every year he was here on the football side of things, and so it was kind of a testament to seeing how great of a coach Coach Burton was. And I think we're reaching a point in terms of the women's basketball where he kind of talked about it in the final press conference that he did after the loss in the quarterfinals, where he was like, Rice is able to keep so many other players and retain him is such a huge piece that I think Texas is missing.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that like they lost everyone. I mean, obviously they lost Tamisha Lamkin to graduation, but you lost out on a Desiree Wooten. You lost out on
Kyla Deck, Ariana
Hardaway, and like if you just retain a couple of those pieces combined with what you guys brought in this year, in Megan Nestor, in Asia Proctor, like, and obviously if you kept all those guards, you may not have gone in the portal for more guards, but if you could have gotten a better combination of things, I think you would have had a different result. Just small things of having the fact that Burton returned only 3 players from last year's roster, and none of them were starters. I mean,
shout out Shania Price.
Shania Price.
Well.
I'm so sorry. Shania Price is probably a returning starter. Yeah.
Especially this next year.
Yes, and I hope she stays for another year.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, honestly.
Micaiah Chase has already entered the transfer portal. You guys.
Yeah. And again, I don't think that anyone when they're watching this women's basketball team was like Micaiah Chase is the definition if we win or not.
Yeah.
But like she was a very big contributing piece, and on certain nights became the leading scorer, became a hustle player. The offensive rebounding was such a huge factor with her. So I think with Burton, he finally was able to kind of put his money where his mouth is, right? Where he's but he's talking about how this program is a little under highlighted and whatnot. And he was able to do some pretty miraculous things with a roster on the fly that we've seen only the best coaches here at UNT do. I think he's really solidifying that he was a fantastic choice in terms of hiring the women's basketball coach by Jared Mosley. But I think we're reaching a point where the institution, the university, the athletic department needs to kind of match his level of commitment and dedication to this program. He's been here 3 years. He's giving you results. When are you going to then step up and offer a little more resources?
Yeah. And then on, I guess, the men's side of things, you covered women's very well.
Yeah,
men's side of things, obviously, you wrap up kind of opposite of that. Same in the fact that you have to build a completely new team basically from scratch. But Daniel Robinson's first year, which honestly started off, we were talking about it. It started off rocky. Let's just say that there were doubts among everything, but it ended up like just kind of out of the blue. Oh, he has 18 wins, most in 50 years. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. It just kind of.
It also helped the American Conference again. Really did suck.
But he did coach the conference best defense, 60 by a wide margin, about 3 points per game differential there. Obviously, Coach Deshaun Stevenson, guy he carried over from Cleveland State, had second team all conference honors. And of course, we've mentioned time and time again just the lack of depth that he had to work with, losing Will McClendon, having Josiah Shackelford, who when he was healthy and he came on, he was performing very well on the
dynamic
inside.
Of the team entirely.
So not having McClendon and Shackelford for a good chunk of the season, I think really hurt this team. Probably dropped a couple of more games that they could have had. But overall, I think this was a good first year. I mean, you can't really deny the facts. Most wins by a first-year head coach in 50 years. You can't really deny that fact. So, and the fact that he has already a very good recruiting class in terms of North Texas. He has that 4-star. I forget his name, slips off the top of my head. Stupid me, I should know that. But I think that's the second highest recruit men's basketball has ever had. Already has him coming in. He brought in Usmane Undor, who didn't see any time this season, but he was out there at practice a lot, getting those reps in. He'll definitely hopefully, be ready for American competition by next season. He's a tall guy. He's going to be able to rebound and be an inside presence.
He's also like 22 currently.
Yeah,
fully...
he's 22-year-old freshman. Cheat
So-
the system, baby. Yeah. No, but I think there's a lot of positives to take away from this season.
Absolutely.
Definitely is not as negative and bleak as it started out.
Yeah, I'm really am curious about how Coach Robinson is going to kind of evolve over the next couple of years as he kind of gets his foot in and brings in different levels of talent. I'm not saying that the current group of guys wasn't talented, but I think it was clearly a little put together last second in terms of the different skill sets. There was a little bit of redundancy in some ways, like in terms of like catch and shoot 3-point shooting. Besides like I'm not thinking of EJ Horton. Who am I thinking of right now? Kamai Crosby. Like there wasn't many people who I would consistently see open and be like, oh, he's gonna make that shot. Deshaun Stevenson, right?
Yeah.
Like if he's open. David Terrell toward the end of the year, right? Like or not even toward the end of the year, but David Terrell at times. There weren't as many consistent options in that regard, and so I think that I'm curious once he brings in a little more balanced of a roster, he has time to figure out like, okay, we were kind of limited in our 3-point shooting. Let me bring in more perimeter help. And I kind of get to see how his offense and how his defenses will kind of evolve. Because like he mentioned, he was very honest about the year. Like the reason why they were playing so aggressive on defense, right? It's a trademark of how he wants to play, is because they don't have the scorers that they needed on the offensive side of things. So once you bring in those scorers, how does the defense evolve? How does the offense then evolve to not be, so dependent on just one guy? Can we start spreading the rock a little more? And if we have shooters that can knock down those open shots, like how can we start generating those looks? I'm super curious about. We just kind of talked about it. Where Coach Burns' third year, I think, really solidified how great of a hire he is. And I think it's going to take a similar amount of time with Robinson as well. We talked about it a couple podcasts ago too.
Yeah, the third year conundrum of North Texas head coaches, it seems to be, because I believe I mentioned tennis head coach Amanda Stone is in her third season. Justin's busy right now.
I'm so sorry, I mentioned text. I apologize.
No,
guys.
you're completely good. Third year tennis coach Amanda Stone is off to like a 12-5 start, and that's like if she wins like 2 more games, it's the most wins that the tennis program would have had in like over a decade.
Yeah,
so it's her third season. So I mean, yeah, give it time.
Yeah,
team
with Stone, I don't know all the players off the top of my head. I can name them at random, but like, there's a ton of retention on the current roster that she has from the previous 2 years. Like all it takes is just being able to have an opportunity to stay with your guys. I think. And so I'm really curious. I think the money, hopefully, in the athletic department should be enough, and I hope they can keep generating ways or finding ways to generate more money, because I think these coaches are proving time and time again, and at least Jared Mosley is proving time and time again, that he's bringing in the right people, and they're proving in that they can take these programs in the right direction.
Yeah. As of now, no news transfer portal wise for men's basketball, but you kind of have to assume that you're going to drop a couple guys. Hopefully not both of your guards, because those are absolutely your key pieces you want to try to retain. But at the same time, it's a much quicker path to the NBA that you can have in terms of, or as opposed to football. And Deshaun Stevenson's already in his second year.
Yeah.
David Terrell is already in his third year. If they want a bigger and better opportunity, which they deserve, then I would not be surprised if that ends up being the case. But portal is not open until April 7th. March Madness going on right now. Happy times. We're focusing on the madness.
You know who really grew on me, and I hope grew on North Texas fans? Reese Robinson.
Robinson. That might be a controversial take for some, but I'll hear you out.
Early on in the season, there was I think there's always a natural kind of reaction of like a side eye of being like, oh, he's the coach's son, and he's getting PT only because of him. And then his first game, he fouls out, and it's like, oh, what are we doing? And Josiah got hurt, so they really relied on Reese at times. I think he grew a lot. I think he really eventually showed that he's really athletic. He's 6'8". He offers a lot of versatility on that end. I saw him get a little better in knocking down catch and shoot 3-pointers, and I hope he gets a little better at that.
He showed flashes.
But I'm seeing a pretty athletic 3-and-D wing, by the time he reaches his senior year or junior year.
And I don't think he's going anywhere. Just a hunch.
Just a hunch. He might have a reason or two to stay home.
Yeah. Just
or
a
not
couple.
home, I guess stay here.
Yeah. But yes, those were the seasons. Basketball has now wrapped up, unfortunately. But good stuff to look forward to. We'll see where women's basketball goes, because obviously you lose Megan Nestor to graduation. Hopefully you can retain a couple of those key pieces like Asia Proctor.
Oh, I would love to
she's
see
the
Proctor
one you
back,
want to
man.
keep. I would love that too. But
I
just basing on how North Texas sports goes,
I know.
Can't
I'd love
hope
to
for
see
the
Proctor
most.
back. I'd love to see Schisler back. I'd love to
Yeah,
see
Schuster come back
Shania
would be
Price
nice.
back.
Yes.
And then after that, you can start building around that. I think a lot
Yeah,
more.
you got to build up that front court again. But yes, exciting stuff. Let's get into softball now. Justin,
I'm ready, pal.
do you think you have anything off the top of your head based on for softball?
Ian, let's talk about that right now. I know that we are at the top of the conference right now,
Uh-huh.
the American Conference, North Texas softball. I'm
Uh-huh.
super happy about that. I'm happy that Coach White is having a really successful first year. That I was able to talk to him a little bit about softball when I came over there for their new facilities,
Yes.
which was paid for by the university and private funds. But, but I came over there and we were able to talk a little bit about softball, and he kind of reiterated the same stuff we've been saying all year. Like this tech stuff really kind of sharpened them, and it kind of gave them an edge, and it tested them. But there came out the other side a lot more resilient.
Yeah.
Because obviously, again, if you can, stay in a game with Oklahoma for the first 4 innings of that game, why not? Why can't you beat a Florida Atlantic? Why can't you beat South Florida? Top of the American Conference teams. And thus far, they've beaten UAB and Tulsa
and
UTSA,
Yeah.
who none of which, as far as I understand, are the top of
UTSA was at the top, but they have like that same 1914, 1814 record.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was because of a tough non-conference or what, but it's not a South Florida or an FAU.
Exactly.
You'll really see where this team stands when they play them.
Absolutely.
Which I don't know when they play them, but keep rolling, Justin. Let me find
Absolutely,
that
man.
for you.
I'm here. I'm super glad for Coach White's first year to be going as successful as it has. I think that he's super invested in these guys, and invested in this team, and invested in Denton. And I think that they're gonna wipe the floor with Abilene Christian tonight, and then after that, what's their next series after Abilene Christian?
They play Charlotte this weekend, and then FAU the next. So
Charlotte's pretty decent as far as I understand.
yeah, Charlotte is usually pretty solid. I think I don't know if I misheard this correctly. It might have dropped down a little bit just in terms of the talent that they have, but obviously still a conference foe. And then FAU is after that. So that's the test right there. FAU currently not ranked, but I mean they have just one great pitching staff, just talent everywhere. So that's the real test right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, through conference play, like this team, I mean, I'm just looking at these stats here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players batting above 300, 4 of them above 400. Madison Conley has 4 home runs, batting 419. Brady Harmon is batting almost 500. He's batting 484.
Wow.
Shout out Brady Harmon. Casey Slovak batting 400. Riley McNeamer 357. Taylor Platt, shout out Taylor Platt 345. She was a freshman last year, didn't get much playing time, but now I think she's a starting center fielder over there. So good stuff there. Just good stuff all around.
I love that.
Same with the pitching staff. So yeah, good on them.
Hey,
right?
I'm gonna treat it like volleyball. I think where that at times.
I know it's not my beat anymore.
Well,
I just kind of stat watch.
No, I get it. But yes, I'll treat it like volleyball when we talk about volleyball on the podcast. I wasn't able to watch a ton of their games, but just speaking on the storylines and speaking on things like that, I'm very always happy to see softball when they're able to accomplish good things and keep winning. They've established such a great winning culture in North Texas, and I think that people get really sidelined by the ideas of baseball and the future of bringing that sport here.
Yeah.
And they're missing out on a really special softball program that won 38 games last year or 36 games last year. I mean, they consistently 30-win seasons for the past several years. Conference USA regular season championship, Conference USA championship. I mean, the program has been built on winning, and I'm glad they can keep sustaining that. Coach White, it is his first year, so I'll have that little bit of room for error. When it came to Fleming, when it came to Robinson this year, where you're on a hot streak, but it's okay if you flame out in the first or second round. I don't think that would be a disappointing season necessarily for North Texas. I mean, obviously you're able to keep a lot of key players, obviously in Elizabeth Moffitt and then Annika Anderson and Madison Conley, but I don't think that necessarily that just kind of justifies oh yeah, you should obviously make it to the third round. You should make it really deep in the tournament. This is still an entirely new program, an entirely new coaching staff, and so I want to give it's a massive testament to them that they're at the top of the conference. But everyone should really just temper their expectations and let's just see until those harder competitions come around.
Couple interesting storylines here. FAU is 4-5 in conference play right now.
A little rockier.
I don't know who they played, but that's interesting. And another tidbit: Elizabeth Moffitt, who's arguably the best player on this roster, has only played in 3 conference games. She played in 2 games in the UAB series. Did not play in that Tulsa series and played 1 against UTSA.
That's so
on the 20th.
Kind of a little sporadic at
yeah,
times.
she said so. Looked like she was consistent. She played through the second game at UAB, sat out that third game, sat out that Tulsa series, came back, and then didn't play again. Maybe it's precautionary. Maybe she retweaked something,
Yeah.
but something to keep an eye out for. But they're still winning, so it doesn't seem to have affected them at this point. But
Just keep winning.
when you just keep winning. When you play your South Floridas, your FAUs, she is the player you want to have. I'm probably backing away from this mic, so I need to stop doing that. But yes, good stuff for softball. We're going to keep up with that as that goes along. They have an 18-14 record now, brought that thing back up over 500, and are sitting pretty. The season goes on for a while till about May, so it'll be good stuff to watch.
Hey, stay tuned.
Hey, now we're getting to the big boy. Spring football is back. Oh man, all it's been is spring football for us, hasn't it, Justin?
And it's been spring football for the past 2 days, or rather, yeah, 2 days. And or no, it was spring football today, and then spring football last Friday. That's what it was. But
Yep.
then starting today, there will be spring football for the next 3 days for us, all beginning at around 8:30 p.m. or 8:30 a.m. tomorrow, and then I assume around 9 a.m. on Friday. But I'm not sure.
10 to 10.
Regardless, our mornings and our days and our afternoons and our nights are being full of college football.
Neil Brown controls us.
Neil Brown, honestly, it's been a blast meeting this new
Yeah.
staff, new roster. I think that as far as the staff goes, like all of them have been super nice to us, and I think I really am approaching media differently than I think Morris and his staff did. Not in a diss way, but like more so, I think Morris was purely about football. Like I think that he clearly came up from. I think you were telling me about this the other day. Of this perspective of like he clearly came up as like an offensive like mastermind guy. Like he's the guy on the chalkboard. He's not the guy that necessarily you bring out to the front of the. I bet that was probably the hardest part for him is like the rah stuff, the being in front of the team and whatnot. Because he's clearly got a knack for the active recall, right? Telling you exactly what happened on this particular play and this down and distance. And I think that with Neil Brown, he's a lot more. He talks about it all the time. His parents were, teachers, and I think that he's a lot more of that kind of route of coach.
Yeah.
And then also has some offensive pedigree as well. But I think first and foremost, he's an educator, talker, communicator of ideas and thoughts. And so I think it's carried over to his staff. Like he's hired a bunch of people. And this was a goal that he mentioned during camp, where he's like he wanted to hire a staff full of teachers, and so they're coming out, and they're talking to us. They're super friendly. Everyone's shaking our hands.
I know. They introduced or shook firm handshakes with like 6 people.
I know, man.
Point.
I
It's
know.
awesome.
So I'm super enjoying the Neil Brown era as far as a selfish media perspective goes. But we could talk about more football stuff if you want.
Oh, I mean that's what I was planning to do. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Who's been your favorite of those interviews so far that we've done?
Zakai Barker. I
Zakai
think
Barker.
Zakai was super insightful for us. He gave us a rundown about Coach Pallage's defense. Matt Pallage. I guess Matt Pallage is what he goes by. So Matt Pallage is a new defensive coordinator. He's from Baylor originally. And then I think after the terrible season that Baylor had, they fired him, I think, mid-season. And so he finished out that season unemployed and then got the job offer from North Texas. He's now here. And so Zakai kind of gave us a rundown of the linebackers and that. And it's a lot more of running around and being, impactful and destructive of the offensive plays and schemes all the time. Instead of, as he put it, kind of being more stationary and kind of reading and reacting, he's just like, you just go. Which I think is super fun. I think it'll remind fans, as far as I understand, a lot of the descriptions that I'm getting of this defense. Coach Pallage was able to speak today, and he mentioned that the scheme is multiple, and that they're going to blitz, and that they're going to be very intentional about blitzing. It's going to be a very precise thing. I think you're going to get a very Skylar Cassidy-esque defense. Even Pallage acknowledged it though, where it's like, or I think maybe it was Coach Blausch at this point, the tight ends coach and run game coordinator. But one of the two acknowledged it. Where like in college football, everyone kind of does the same thing. Right, so like Skylar Cassidy is the newest wave of a series of defensive coordinators who are kind of moving into 4-2-5 base looks, and then also being able to scheme and figure out how to be multiple and move into a 3-4, move into a 4-3 or whatever. And so Coach Pallage is another iteration of those defensive coordinators who are all kind of just, if they're doing their job correctly, which is following the trends. And being multiple and being able to blitz and apply pressure. I think those are things that you'll see similarities of from Cassidy and Pallage.
Yeah. How about that quarterback battle, right? You got Taven Jackson, Chaston Ditta, Chris Jimerson, who Coach Brown has gone on saying, any 3 of them could start. Obviously, it's incredibly early, and we didn't find out that Drew Mestemaker was the starter over Reese Pfaffenberger until the day camp ended or something.
Yeah, really toward the final, I think, week of Lamar, or like the final week. Sorry, prior. So it's like the final week before Lamar, probably.
Yeah. No, they've all looked great from what I think we can observe, and I think what Brown says holds true. They all have, I mean, they all have their own talent. Chris Jefferson can just zip the ball for being one of the on the shorter end of quarterbacks, and Taven Jackson obviously has that experience. He has the bigger stature at 6'4", I think he is.
Yeah.
And then Chasson Dida, obviously coming over from ECU, played a great first game there, kind of on that Drew Mestemaker type beat. Not saying he's the next one, but on that same pathway of sorts. So that's going to be the most interesting thing I think to watch throughout fall camp. I think Taven Jackson gets the advantage over that just because of his experience. I think that from what I think it was Palage was saying today is that we want guys who are experienced, and that's something Coach Brown also kind of hinted at. He's like, Taven Jackson, he should be having these good camps because he's been in college for such a long time. I think experience is a really big thing this coaching staff's going to hone in on. I think that's going to give Taven Jackson the edge here because
I think so
just
too.
the confidence and he's stepping down from the Power 4 level, which obviously you still have to play football and play competition, but
Absolutely.
I feel like the game might slow down a little bit. He's in a different environment, so look out for that.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the safe bet. But I will tell listeners at home right now, I've played these games before. I said that Reese Pfaffenberger would be the quarterback over Drew Mestemaker because he has more experience. He's coming from Miami. He doesn't,
Okay.
Drew is the more unproven guy, and we only have so much limited tape about him. And then I watched Drew Mestemaker lead the nation in passing yards, and so I
Drew Mestemaker.
shout out Drew Mestemaker, but I've played these games before. I've seen what betting on like the sure thing kind of leads to. From the brief team sequences that we've seen, I think that I've always loved watching Chris Jefferson play. I got to watch him while he was back at North Crowley playing they're not South Lake Carroll, they're Duncanville. I got to watch them play Duncanville in the playoffs at Allen High School, and so I've always seen how dynamic of an athlete and playmaker he is in that senior year of high school he had, and so or since then, and I want to see him at this collegiate level. I just want to see it.
He got his looks, and he looks pretty solid.
I know, man.
Look at that touchdown pass last season.
He did. That touchdown pass was awesome. And Neil Brown talked about how he's not one of the fastest players. He's not one of the fastest quarterbacks. In the room, there's three of them, but he's one of the fastest players on the team, like the team overall. And so I want to see that level of dynamic athleticism. He has so much zip on that ball, and so that's what Max Reese, the senior tight end from Mississippi State, was saying today. Is that you don't expect it from a guy that tall of like 5'10". I talked with his OC, Coach Reinhardt, for 24/7 back in the prior to this year, and I was joking with him. I was like, "Is he really 5'10"? He was like, "Yeah, 5'10", probably in cleats." And so if they say he's 5'10", he's 5'10", and so. 5'10", you don't expect kind of from that stature that he's a bunch of arm strength, but he actually so much does. The ball's coming out fast. He himself is fast. Like I think he's so entertaining, which is just an attribute that you're not going to use to measure your starting quarterback. But for selfishly as a media member and kind of outside member of this whole situation, I would love to see that as a starting quarterback.
Yeah. No, I said Taven Jackson just out of like my own prediction, but I genuinely don't think this coaching staff that you can't have anything in your mind at this point. But I really think they do think it's open. It's like you do bring in a guy like Taven Jackson, and just by the eye test, it's like, oh yeah, he's obviously going to be the starter. But I really don't think they're considering that that heavily at this point. They just want to see what these guys can do.
Yeah, I mean, in spring ball, I think that there's been kind of glimpses and instances where I think they're giving a peek behind the curtain, right? Where they mentioned Neto and Johnny Williams as like the two tackles who have been here for a very long time, and they're offering a lot of stability. And these are slight hints that you can tell, that Coach Brown is kind of dropping, being like, don't be surprised if these are your two bookend tackles for this upcoming year, right? And so there's small things like that. In competition, like they're still gonna have to earn their spots, and they could still get hurt. And there's a lot of time before we actually have to decide who is going to be out there in week one and against Indiana, the reigning national champs.
God, I mean yeah.
There's going to be a lot of time before we have to decide, what lamb needs to get slaughtered.
That's a crazy analogy right there.
But there's a lot of time for it. There's a lot of time for
There's
it.
a lot of time for that.
But I think that you can tell early on that they're dropping little hints here and there of, this guy might be impactful in this way. And coaches do that because I think they're just being honest, where they're prior to Wyatt Young's emergence in his sophomore year and his freshman year, they were talking about how Landon and him were competing for like that slot receiver role. And Coach Morris was joking about, what's his name? Wally Pipkins. He was like, that Wyatt Young was going to Wally Pipkins Landon sides. And to be fair, like throughout that year, Landon dealt a little bit with injury, and so Wyatt got to star a little bit in that freshman year. And so you kind of got to see the emergence of him a little beforehand because they gave a little, hint, or not a hint, but like Morris kind of showed his hand a little bit in terms of just being honest and being like, that guy's really impressing me right now.
Yep.
So we'll stay tuned for that. There's other guys on that list that are, I think, deemed as impressive. But in terms of the, what was I bringing that up for? Was you talking about
Guys that are impressive.
Yeah. Why was I bringing that up for quarterbacks?
Yeah, we were talking about quarterbacks.
Huh. Well, there's
Justin
plenty of
rant.
Justin rants. No, there's plenty of time to figure this all out, and so let me tell you, Chris Sherman is fun to watch, man.
Yeah.
The in between option of those two guys, I use the analogy: we have a Russian nesting doll situation of quarterbacks. You have a 5'10" guy, and then you have a 6'5" guy, and then in between is the 6-foot Chasten Dida.
Yeah.
I think skill set wise, you might have a kind of a middle ground of the two ideas there. Like, let's say for some reason, Neil Brown doesn't trust either of those guys. Data kind of offers a little bit of both worlds in terms of having the mobility, but not necessarily all the downside of kind of being undersized at 5'10". He's a 6-foot quarterback. But then also doesn't necessarily have all the full upside of being a prototypical 6'5" and a fifth year starting quarterback in college football. So he offers kind of an in between of of the two quarterbacks in my brain, like in a Venn diagram. He's kind of the middle ground.
Yeah.
And so if Neil Brown wants to go for that option, that's also an option on the table.
Yeah. One interesting thing, I forget what the question was, but Neil Brown brought up that the thing that kind of stuck out to him the most about this team is that they're fast.
Yeah.
Which at the time when he said that, I thought was really funny. I was like, does that just mean they're really working on getting these drills down, or is that actually a good thing that they're fast? And more I've thought about it, I was like, yeah, I think that is a good thing because we discussed so many times after that South Florida loss, you could tell there were levels to the kind of athleticism that are in some of the teams in the American. And I think this transfer portal class really nailed down the lack of just fast, big, power forward type athlete guys that you have. And I mean, the people that they got, you have a 6'7" Johnny Williams at tackle. You got all those Zakai Barker, Aaron Alexander, all big. You have a 6'4" quarterback. You have just people from the Power Four that could compete at that level. Yeah. So
size and frame wise, they fit the bill.
Yeah.
And so I think you're absolutely right. I think that having some speed for once being kind of the forefront of a North Texas team would be fun to watch. They talked about today in subtle ways too, where they talk about Coach Bloch gets out there. He talks about the run game and they want to be really explosive because they have the athletes to have those home run hitters. And so he's not showing his hand, but he's being very forefront about the idea that we're going to lean on this athleticism. We're going to be explosive based on how fast these guys are, based on how fast these guys can accelerate and things like that. So I'm totally with you.
The tools are there, for sure. I think a big part that is played in the group of five is just genuinely what kind of athletes you have. And South Florida obviously has the higher revenue numbers, higher NIL numbers generally in the American Conference, and I think they can afford to get some of those bigger and better athletes. But I think North Texas really supply themselves with those type of guys, and I think I mean they have the tools. It really all comes down to that game plan in this coaching staff that Brown has assembled. It's going to be exciting to see them.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see how everything turns out. I think. But you know what? We talk about all this offensive stuff. Defensively,
that is just a battle. I don't. You don't know who's going to come out of that. A defensive line, you have so many people. You have a ton of experienced guys, returners. We talked with Terrell Washington today, who showed great flashes last year. He loves being at UNT. He could definitely be a starter. You brought in guys like Justin Benton, who's been a 3-year starter in the American, so he knows this competition. You brought in Christian Lorenzo from, I think it was Central Oklahoma or Illinois State, something like that. He was like an all junior college or D2, wherever they sit, in an all conference selection. Couple other guys along that defensive line. Linebackers is a little easier to kind of determine. One could assume Zakai Barker is going to start because he has that. One could assume he's probably going to start. One could assume he has that experience. He has that mental maturity. We could tell from that interview, and he has that second team all conference selection from his time at ECU. Played at SMU last year, so I think you'll definitely look for him to be a regular out on the field. Aaron Alexander, obviously another big one. Cedric Roberts, I think, was mentioned today by Matt Pallich.
He was.
That secondary, you have no clue though.
I'll tell. Yeah, dude.
You have zero clue.
Just put a big question mark at cornerback, safety, and whatever star positions are going to be available. Just put all of them. big question marks because we have no idea. who's gonna
My
be.
my one like for sure guy would have been CJ Coombs at that. I was imagine the strong safety position. He's
Yeah.
recovering from injury right now, so you can't really see where he's going out on the field.
I'll throw you some guys, man.
Oh, yeah, go. Throw 'em out.
I think Caden Jenkins has a spot on this team regardless.
I think so too.
He's played under Palic previously, and we didn't talk about this today in our interviews because I thought it would be kind of unrelated to most of the stuff that we were talking about, but it is relevant. He was kicked off the team at Baylor for multiple team violations. Caden Jenkins in the middle of the year, like this past fall.
Yeah, this last because he wasn't on their roster.
No, he was not.
Yeah.
So like 5 months ago, he was kicked off the team for multiple team violations. And I was curious, how the reunion kind of happened and all that.
Yeah.
'Cause clearly, then it wasn't bad blood between him and Palic.
Yeah, and his brother was still on that roster too.
Exactly.
Which is,
So there's
very interesting.
There's a lot of interesting things there that weren't ever answered. I've done my bare minimum research and looked this up a couple times, but I've yet to find anything that's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is the reason why. But they were talking about it. Zakai was talking about it, where he's kind of an island alone on the cornerback side of things. Keyshawn Davila, what's his name?
Keyshawn
Davila, bro. There was just one clip I have on my Twitter where he's just doing one drill where I think he's backpedaling and then suddenly sprints forward. He's really lengthy and tall and somehow moves incredibly fluidly.
I think he's very athletic.
Exactly. And again, he like prototypical size wise, he fits the bill. Like athleticism wise, he fits the bill.
And Caden Jenkins is like a 6'1" cornerback too. He has that same build.
I cannot wait to see these guys.
We are long away from the days of 5'6" Ridge Tejada of having undersized guys. Shout out Ridge though. This isn't hate on
leader
you.
in PBUs, man.
This is not hate.
That's disrespectful.
This is not hate on Ridge. I love Ridge Tejada.
Ridge Tejada's great.
But just of the days of being undersized, just to say the least.
No, and I think that's been the kind of an interesting thing in G5 football, which is that you could always find, let's say, guys who weren't as athletically talented, like Ridge, right? Who were at a limitation, size-wise, stature-wise, weight-wise, strength-wise, but they made up for it by being a technician, right? And having all these really crafted, well-crafted skills, or like being a really old, like fifth-year guy, who had some P4, sparks, but really came down here and succeeded at this level. And so again, it's going to be super interesting to see how this formula works, where like I took a bunch of guys at the P4 level who did not play and then brought them down here, and they really have a lot of prototypical traits that you're looking for. Yeah. But I'm unsure if like they have the reps, I'm unsure if they have some of the ability, or I'm unsure because there's just uncertainty because they haven't played yet.
Yeah.
Coach Brown was talking about that, and he was like, essentially the coaching staff is vouching for a lot of these guys. Where like Coach Gates, where he's coached Henry Fanuku back in North Crowley, but Henry's been at Mizzou for the past 2 years and has not gotten PT. So I don't know what's happening there, but
this team is built on a lot of relationships through coaching staff and through coach and player relationships.
It's a lot of it's bets though, honestly. And to be fair, bets on guys who fit the bill. I think
not a gamble, but a bet, because you have people. It's not like you're just grabbing, just like this guy played in the Power Fours, have him come here. You have coaches who know what they can do.
Yeah, but can do at like the high school level.
At a high school level. I think it's I don't know, man. The American really bumped itself up this last season, but I think it's a little easier than like being at the Power 4 level and just grabbing dudes you don't know, because I mean, like we've been talking about, these dudes they fit the bill athletically, size-wise. You just have to build them up.
You do. It's going to be really interesting to see how this strategy works, because I've only seen under Morris like kind of like undersized, valued guys who have like really sharp skills, and I've seen like, I've seen the Eric Morris Moneyball system, and I'm curious about this one.
This is just the spring campus important system, I guess. These workouts, OTAs, spring camp is a very important time for this team.
Yeah, I'm super duper excited to see what we got here. I'm trying to think of who else on this defense or who else on this team I'm really excited to see.
They shouted out two safeties today, Tay Seymour and I think, what's his name from McNeese State?
Oh, Brandon Jones.
Yes, they shouted out Brandon Jones is another safety,
Jones.
Mr. Pick Six. I think he has a good chance. So that safety position, I feel like outside of CJ Coombs is very wide open.
Oh my gosh! Hey, shout out Javon Conlon, man.
Shout out Javon.
I mean, put on a master class in recruiting and then just dipped.
You know what? I mean, It could have been worse. He could have just left and not done anything.
I have
At
to.
least he worked his butt
I'm,
off
I'm
while
being
he was
I'm being
here.
I'm being sincere. I'm
No,
being earnest. I'm being
genuinely.
shout out Javon Conlon. That guy brought in so many
Yeah.
dudes who I think are ballers.
No,
Like
seriously.
genuinely, like
Yeah,
really great
that
players.
secondary
at
has a
safeties.
chance to be nasty this
Oh
next
my
season.
gosh, yeah. So I'm super excited to see the secondary. I think that's gonna be the real strength of this team. I think that defensive line, you'll figure it out. But clearly, based on the way Powers was talking about, like pressure can be kind of simulated, or pressure can be kind of created by having different sorts of blitzes and having linebackers play a role in that. Like this guy's really excited to play a role in that. So I think that'll be kind of the formula there. It won't be as dependent on like 4-man rush. Just go beat their guys. And, let's just beat them. I think it'll be dependent on some scheme stuff and forcing pressure and then forcing a turnover.
Yeah.
Again, similar to Cassidy, Offensively, I want to talk about this for a minute.
Oh, we're going back to offense. Hey,
Why not?
We love
man?
football here.
How much more time?
Oh, yeah, we're at 40. We're good.
Okay. I have to commend Doug Waters. I have to commend the rest of the football coaching staff, roster, etc., to somehow avoid speaking about Neil Brown's offense at any level of specificity.
Avoid talking about it with specificity.
Specificity. Yeah, absolutely. They're like, we love running the ball and we also love passing the ball.
Oh, it's been said like 3 times.
Yeah, and it's like, oh yeah, for sure, okay. And like I can go back.
They're keeping this offense extremely on the low key.
And
I
really
mean, we don't know who the official offensive coordinator is, if there is one. And
obviously, Neil's gonna be.
He's going to be the play
plays.
caller, but I mean, they haven't touched on that subject really much. And yeah, they've just been, we run and we pass. That's what we do.
We asked Coach Palish today. I was actually asking Coach Palish about the fact that like he wasn't able to call plays this past season at Baylor because Dave Aranda, he took back the play calling duties after Palish had it in 2023 to 2024. He took it back this past season, and the reason, not a big reason, but a big reason I heard about why Baylor was such a big opportunity for him was because he previously coached at Oregon. He previously coached at like these pretty cool places, but he didn't get a chance to be the play caller. And so being the play caller was a big thing for him. So that's why I was asking about it. And he was like, he opened with like, on the offensive side of things, I don't know who's going to call. Like, I don't know how it's going to work. And so it's like, I wonder if there's for sure a set plan, but I'm very impressed by the media training to keep it under wraps and to be very hush-hush about how it's all going to go. Palish mentioned not licking your wounds when it comes to trick plays. And I thought, I was like, what trick plays are you running this early in the spring camp on the offensive side of things?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Who knows?
We don't. Genuinely, who knows? But we know one thing. Hey, Jaheim White is going to be a huge part of this offense.
Jaheim White is the man.
Jaheim
White is that man. He's still recovering from injury, but he's out there running drills the same as everyone else. Justin was noticing out today. The running back drills, when they're all going into their separate groups, he's the first one who goes every time, and the coach is like, "You see how he did it? Do it like him."
like Coach Chad Scott, he'll give instruction after every single rep, but after Jaheim, he's like giving instruction to everyone else. It's like Jaheim does the rep, and he has like 2 years working with Chad at this point. Where Chad actually was at the offensive coordinator at West Virginia by the time Jaheim was there, but I bet that he had a hand on it because he's a running backs coach at heart. So. So Jaheim would do the rep, and he would turn to the rest of the group and be like, all right, so this is kind of how we want to do this rep, or how we want to focus on this rep. And then Jaheim would do that perfectly. I saw once that he asked a question, like where would you go next on this play? And Jaheim like pointed in a direction, walking back from his rep. Like
that's crazy.
Like he knows it already. Like, oh yeah, in this new scenario that he's throwing out in this like simulated, like I think coach was a linebacker and he had some sort of
the pads were down in like
exactly
the A gap, B gap, C gap
gaps,
formation.
yes. And so when they come down, you're supposed to read and react and know what gap to go through. And he was like, okay, so now we're going to change the situation, and Jaheim went like, yeah, it's that way.
Not looking at
he didn't even say anything. He was like, he like saw it and like kept walking. Like that's
That's
way.
my nonchalant running back right there.
That's my nonchalant 5'7".
But he's going to be exciting to watch on this offense for sure. The rest of it is a big question mark. Besides maybe the offensive line, I think you kind of have your starters.
I think they're going to be great.
That offensive line is going to be good. You have obviously we already touched on Johnny. We're kind of ranting. I'll try to wrap it up here. You have Johnny Williams, Neto, Umeozulu from Texas. They're kind of your tackles, what Neil Brown hit it on. I think Chandler Strong has got center locked down. He has 3 years of experience there. I think like a 2-time all-conference selection at Georgia Southern. I think he's got that locked down. Right guard, excuse me, probably Henry Fanuku. He's one of the bigger guys from the Power 4 level. I think he's been starting with that first team. Left guard kind of open. I forget his name, from Charlotte, also from South Lake.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God, talk to him. I think he's something to consider as well. We have no notes in front of us, so we can't reference back to it.
Yeah.
I'll throw out a different name out there that I'm really curious to see.
Go ahead.
Dylan Shaw.
Dylan Shaw. He is still recovering from injury.
Still recovering from
Yeah.
injury, Texas Tech transfer, but he was a guy that Morris kept highlighting as like a dude. If he, he's gonna slide in a guard or he's gonna slide in at center sometimes. And you had a pretty solidified interior group between
Yeah.
Tayonta, Gabe Blair, and B-Tech,
Johnny
B-Tech,
Johnny Williams? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny Williams.
his name was
No. Oh my goodness. Dickinson?
Yeah, Johnny Dickinson.
Johnny Dickinson. There we go. Yeah, Johnny Dickinson.
What's his name?
Yes.
Anyways,
I swear it was.
Johnny Dickinson. You'll have to cut that. But you had a pretty solidified group there.
I'm not cutting that. That's staying in there.
You had a pretty solidified group, but you had Dylan Shaw always kind of in the picture, and then he ended up I think tearing his ACL or having some lower leg injury that kept him out for the whole year.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to see if he can heal up and he can be a big role in some interior role on that offensive line there.
Guards will be an interesting thing to watch. But I think you got center tackles locked down. But yes, guards will be interesting.
So running back, center, tackle, and I think Max Reese is going to play tight end, pal.
I'm a Breck Long fan. He's a Max Reese fan.
Breck Long fan. I don't know what that's based
Breck Long, we've been talking about statures and physicality all day. I think Breck Long is the bigger player. Just generally, he played at South. He actually played at South Alabama. Max Reese obviously comes from Mississippi State, but he didn't get much playing time there.
But he played at a MAC team back when he was actually getting PT.
He did. We'll see. I mean, people use 2 tight end sets all the time. They're both getting plenty of playing time.
It's not going to matter.
Wide receiver is a huge question mark. I don't even know who I'm looking at.
I think Barron Tipton is going to be a starter this year.
You know what? Good on him.
I think he's been here long enough. I think he's a junior now. Or redshirt sophomore,
something like that.
He's young. He's probably sophomore. I'm sorry, probably sophomore. But Barron Tipton, I think offers you a lot in terms of size, and I think at this point, having out of all the position groups, Ian has talked about it before. I don't think we're as confident in the receiving core as every other position.
It's just a lot of unknowns. You don't have like a nailed down that's the guy. That's the number one star. Obviously, you bring in like a guy like Josiah Martin, who one of those guys who doesn't have much tape. James Tyree. Yeah, James Tyre is kind of that like solid guy. He figures to play the slot. He's kind of your like safety net,
guy, the
proven
level,
safety
right?
net
Or
for that guy.
What level did he come from? Tyre?
Western Carolina.
Yeah. And then also TJ.
Yes, TJ Chikwara from I believe
pronunciation
D2, D3.
I love it.
He's a guy that has been highlighted a couple of times. So if he has good spring camp, he'll get some good reps.
Yeah,
but that'll be interesting to see.
I think on a team of unknowns, I think Barron Tipton has a good shot. He was impressing Morris during camp. He made some special teams plays last year. He eventually lost the backup X-receiver role to Terrence Lewis, but I think that's more credit to Terrence Lewis, who kind of had offers at the P4 level and chose to go with Morris anyways.
Worked for him.
Hey, clearly did.
Yeah.
But anyways, a lot of questions.
A lot of
just
stuff.
Now starting.
That's our breakdown. We're having some answers for you guys on this new North Texas roster. That's the very early figuration of all things. Good stuff seems to be coming.
I'm very excited for tomorrow. Tomorrow will be pro day. So by the time you guys are seeing this, you will have all the 40-yard numbers. You'll have the vert numbers. To finish off, Ian, give me one guy you want to see out there.
On pro day?
On pro day.
I'm excited for Cameron Dorner. I've just been saying it.
Seventh round draft buzz.
His name has been thrown out a couple times to maybe be taken in the 7th round. I'm also excited for Gabe Blair. I think he genuinely has an NFL level physique and talent. 3-time conference selection, 3-time all-conference selection, 305 pounds, 6'2", at that guard position. I think them two have a good shot to make a league. I'm not going to say NFL, but make some noise. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'll go in a different direction because you went with them, and I know we're running out of time. I'll go Davion Armstead, David Fisher, Will Jones.
Yep.
The secondary was so fun to watch last year for several different reasons. Armstead is so physical at the line of scrimmage. I loved him. He used to hit the double seatbelt when he jammed a receiver.
I remember that.
And
that secondary was fun.
Will Jones used to make these crazy acrobatic plays.
0-1-2.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me 0, 1, and 2, man, for guys to look out for. David's, I think, just a more technician, veteran guy. In terms of the physical traits, he was pretty cool, but and mainly it was the technique that I think really stood out for him. Anyways, I'm super cool to see all the stuff for pro day, but after pro day there'll be Friday practice, and then there'll be several other spring practices.
There'll be a lot. Just wrapping up with the spring showcase sometime in April, I believe.
I forgot that even happened.
I believe that's about in a month. So,
anyways,
is that full contact? Like,
Oh, for sure, no.
yeah, I
I
was
mean,
like, no, right?
no, 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 no. They'll do their full contact stuff probably during like, well, okay, okay. Let me rephrase. I'm not sure. Like, obviously, we don't know if it's gonna be full
Yeah.
contact or not. They're clearly already kind of doing not full contact, but they're kind of
They're scrapping at the line of scrimmage.
exactly. You know, we're ramping up a little bit in terms of spring football. I don't know if they'll do full contact. I mean, they're for sure not gonna go like, well, okay. They might go live. They might go. They might go full contact.
We're excited. That's what there is to say there.
It's true.
Yes. Nah. Hey, there's your wrap up. This is your place for all things UNT sports. That's about off the top of our heads, guys. No computers in front of us. No notes. No script. No nothing.
Just
That's
having a
just
blast.
straight ball knowledge off the dome. Look at us.
Look at us,
We're
man.
just so good at this. No, hey, but it was a fun time. Yes, this is your award-winning podcast. we're so blessed to have that. That's
blessed.
so awesome. It was so cool. I was so excited when I got that. We'll have that certificate up here next episode. Justin, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Ian.
Yes, this was such a fun time. We will get back to y'all with a new episode, hopefully sometime soon. Hopefully we won't have as long of a break. But we will catch you guys in the next episode. Peace out. Bye-bye.